So hi there, welcome to lesson 1. We are talking about workflow models for cumulative data collection. Now what does that really mean? We talked about in module 1 how data can be collected by routine or by surveys. And whether it's routine or surveys, most of the time you don't collect all the data you want in a day. For example, if you're collecting data on cars passing a particular junction, you may want to collect it over a certain time, over a period of an hour or a period of 2 or 3 days. So it's not always at once. And what happens is that there's a place where the data is stored, and I will explain to you why it's not good for you to allow it to accumulate before you start checking. So that's one way. Even if you survey data, it takes some days. Surveys take over some days a day, depending on the number of people who are collecting data for you, or it could take you maybe 10 days, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. So it takes some time. So there are workflow models to get into credible data. So if all you have collected are three data for 3 people or 3 entities, you may just want to check those things first before it becomes 30,000. So that's basically what we mean by cumulative data collection. So basically the way it just works is that you collect data on a certain day. By the next day or the next hour, it has increased. So this is like 15 to 20, 20 to 30. So cumulative, that's the word that you need to note. Everything was collected that way. So basically that's the model. So just to explain it a bit, we collect some data from students on the 26th of whatever month you have in mind. So that's 3 students. I mean, 3 students we can see live there. On the 27th, we also collect some more data. Now, cumulatively, we have 5 people we have collected data for. And okay, that's it, 27th April 2001. So that's the date of collection. So you can see that first day was 3, second day was 2. Cumulatively, we have 5. On the 28th, we collected data for 2 other people. And on the 29th, 3 people. That's how it works cumulatively, 26, 27, 28, and that's how data generates. So why is the concept of checking and cleaning data piecemeal better? That is, when data was on 26, why is it good to check? Now, it's good to check because it can be a lot of work. Second reason is that if there are any errors in the way data was collected or captured, they can be corrected. So if there is data capturing the cars that are passing a particular junction and the format of the time was wrong, you can quickly feed them back and say the way you collected data yesterday was wrong, correct it. So you clean today's own, but by the time data for cars are being collected tomorrow, it should have been fixed. But if you wait for 30 days to pass, you would have to collect and clean more. So you can give feedback to the data collection mechanism, whether it is routine, whether it's some nurses taking records of immunization and they forgot to put immunization date, for example. You tell them, wow, immunization date is missing. It's lacking completeness. It should be there. They say, wow, we made a mistake. And now they start monitoring and fixing it. So it accumulates. It's more work if you allow it to accumulate. And then you can quickly correct any errors. And it leads to the third thing, the syntax or sequence violations. Maybe the way it was connected, the way it was captured is wrong. We can fix all this stuff in probably the way the question is answered or phrased. So all this you can find out from the data if you start checking from day 28. And you know what I mean by that? I'm referring to this particular slide, or 26. So on the 26th, if you had acted quickly, you may have seen 1 or 2 errors about how the data was collected, and you can quickly adjust. Okay, let's go back. This is the reasons we've mentioned already. So let's go back to the concept of the workflow. Now, when the data comes from routine or from survey, we do create, we do check, and that check has to do with these 3 things. Remember, completeness, clarity, and consistency, and then we clean. That's how it works. So let's look at an example with this: create, check, and clean, and see the danger. So day one, data is collected for these names. There are different names on day one. And what we did when we checked data for day one is that we saw that there are duplicates. There's Ifeanyi Gbadamosi and Rose Johnson having the same ID. I told you ID variables are supposed to be unique. Then when you clean, you realize that Ifeanyi was wrong. Ifeanyi should have been 1080. Rose is correct, 1008. So this is happening, but now when we get to day two now, when we check the data again, this is the whole day two. That's sorry, day one and day two. Remember, I told you it's cumulative. We will remember now that the data for, because we've created again, the data for Ifeanyi, because it's in its raw form, it still has returned back to 1008. And if you look below a bit, I hope I get it back again. Let me get it. You can see another Ifeanyi Gbadamosi written here on day two. So like 3 sets of duplicates here because there was a check. So that means there is some things that require attention here. So let's assume we go and clean. So we go back, we clean Ifeanyi Gbadamosi here, and we now delete the other one. The other, because he has already been registered the day before, so we just wipe off his name. So this is a bit challenging in the model that we have for you. So it's best to create, check, clean. That's what you have been used to. But there's just going to be a swap. When you create for day one, clean all day one's errors, and then you check. Otherwise, you keep on cleaning the data you had cleaned before. So I'll explain again. You create, then you clean, and you check. So that's just the switch. Before we will create, we will check, and that's how we taught you. True. But because the data is cumulative, you want to sort out everything on day one. So you clean. Now, day one does not have any cleaning to do because you're not even checked. But the way the do files will be structured, they will be structured in such a way that after day one, there's nothing to clean because that's the first day you do. But day two, it will clean all day one's errors out first, and you will now be left with day two errors. Of course, checking the data again. So let's have a look at this now. Create has been done, and then we clean. We have fixed we clean. So we have fixed Ifeanyi. Now I bolded that Ifeanyi is now 1080 as against Rose that was 1008. Been fixed. Now when that has been fixed for day two, check. Ifeanyi remains fixed because he had been cleaned before in day one. But now it will reflect a duplicate for Rose and the other Ifeanyi down there. So that way you're able to focus on the new errors. I think I've got an error. So that's the other Ifeanyi down there. Let me go back a bit so you can see Rose here and the other Ifeanyi for day two remain there. So you're able to, but the other Ifeanyi has been fixed. So that's how it works. So the model is very straightforward. Create, clean, check. Cumulative data. And the basic principle is that it allows us to see fresh errors. You've cleaned, and that happens in day three. You've cleaned day one and day two data at the end of day two. When day three data comes, you only see fresh issues. And you don't have to go back cleaning what you had cleaned in day one and day two. So that's how it works basically. So it's best to clean everything to the last data collection and now check everything again. Everything falls it's according to standard. So basically you must take note of this workflow, and we'll hopefully try to also illustrate it at the end of this module. So we have we can call it like a bonus module where we just have a little bit of serious practicals that tries to tie all the concepts we have learned so far from module 1 right up to 10, so like work task, which will take, so to take there are long form videos longer than this, but will just help to explain everything we are trying to do. Okay, so thank you so much. We will see in lesson 2 where we talk about managing folders. See you in lesson 2.